I'm going to show you Retool's agent, which has just been released, and it's a very, very easy way to create an agent. I'm just going to dive in and talk about the pieces as we go along. But yeah, effectively, new agent you create from here. So say I want to start from scratch. Research, meeting, prep. Give it a description and hit create. So here it comes into this configuration tab. The triggers are chat, so that chat interface, or you can use email, so you can trigger the agent by emailing this or CCing it into a thread or forwarding it. And then you see these instructions sort of changed because I added email. So it's just telling the agent, you can receive email, you should use the available context, you should use the reply to email to send responses. You can also change the model that you're using, OpenAI, Anthropic, any open source ones. You can change temperature and iterations, and then you can add tools here. So this tool is added automatically because we added the email trigger. So that's just pulling in data from emails. Other tools you can use: Google Calendar, Google Docs, the Retool tools, search the web, get the web page content. You can execute code. You can connect it to other agents. You can use MCPs. You can create your own tools. You can use a workflow that you already have set up on Retool. Have on Retool, or create one to then add to your agent. So for this one, we want, we're just going to tell the assistant here what we want and see what it comes up with. I want to make a agent that researches meetings that I have on my Google Calendar and sends me a Google Doc with the information about that person I'm going to meet beforehand. So just going to do that, hit enter. Okay, so you'll see this is now suggesting a bunch of tools to add, and it's modified the instructions. So you'll see that it actually suggested a bunch of tools it needs access to. So we can select resource and then say, this is my calendar basically. So you can just add a new resource, connect whichever calendar you need. So I'll apply that to all the tools that need it. And then Google Docs, same again. This is my Google Docs account. So it's basically just authenticating. So I have all of those connected now. It's also modified the instructions. If you look at this, shift from an email reply helper to an intelligent meeting assistant that automates pre-meeting research and content delivery. This requires entirely new instruction content, reflecting calendar integration, attention research, structured reporting. Okay, so what we're going to do is just leave it as it is. We accept all of those, and then so now we can start a new chat. Research my meeting later today and create a doc with info on your meeting. You'll see on the right hand side the current activities. You can see what your agent's actually doing. Okay, this is doing a search on the web, doing another search, creating a Google Doc. So that doc should be created here. Yes. It's updating the Google Doc. So if we look at it now, it should have the information. Great. And then it's going to send me an email with a link to that documentation. So here it is as a response. And also, if we look at my email, you'll see here there is a meeting with the doc linked successfully, all of that there. So obviously this is a basic way to show you how this can work, but I think just being able to see everything, dive into the current activity, and then you've got all of these logs, which shows you everything that has happened. So reply to the email, this is the output, any of the tools that are called, update the Google Doc, create the Google Doc, all that kind of stuff. And also what you can do is have evals and datasets. So you can create a dataset to say new datasets. And then here you can add your test case. So you can add any previous messages from the user or assistant. It's basically to evaluate, was the output correct for what the input was? So you can decide whether you look at the different tools, see it with a expected parameters. Maybe you want to do it on the final output, so you can look at exact match or any of these others. You can use LLM as a judge. Is the following funny? Is the following correct? All that kind of stuff. So you can really play around with this to be as complex as you want it. So I'm going to just add this as an example, and then we can go to evals and add one, run one with our data set, and then it'll give you a score based on what these things did. So the tool used, completed, score. So now we're going to build another agent called founder analysis. It's going to be a bit more complex. So the tools, we want to have an MCP server. So here, a new resource, just select that and you type in whatever you want to do. X a search test to the server URL. So for an MCP, you might want to look at something like Smithery. So there it will give you a URL. So here you see the URL. This is completely baked in with my API keys, so I'm not going to show the whole thing, but I'm going to get the URL for the Exa search. So Exa is just a really good web search. We can do it here with weather, for example, so we can try that as well. And if I use Exa, when I do URL, it's going to give me a very specific URL that is related to my API keys, which I'm not going to share. You just copy that into the agent builder, paste it in there. Authentication is nothing on this one because you've already authenticated it through Smithery. So it actually makes it a lot easier. So you don't have to worry about authentication on this side. I've already got one. This is one I did earlier. So you'll see then the available tools. So it's got web search, there's parameters there for each. So you'll see there's company research, crawling, competitor finder, LinkedIn search, Wikipedia search, GitHub search. So that seems good for us. So we'll save that. And then here we're going to say, this is a tool to score founders based on their GitHub, Twitter, and LinkedIn URLs. You should score each founder based on the scoring system in the instructions and give a report on the founder. Okay, so what this is done now, so the configuration assistant changes instructions quite often, and it's done this as well. So it's actually creating its own tool to try and do this system, but I'm not going to do that for now because I want to do it through the Exa MCP. So what I want to do is go to the Exa MCP. These are the available tools. Give me a table. Don't write table of the available tools here. Only respond. Don't write any. Because what I found with this assistant is it overwrites the instructions often, and sometimes you've got a lot in there that you don't actually want touched. So I've tried to just ask it to respond here. And because it's an MCP, it doesn't realize that it's got access to those tools. So what I'm going to do is put all of this here. So then I'm going to say this up here. I'm just going to say this is a tool to score founders. You should score each founder based on the scoring system below. Report on the founder. So they're the available tools. It's always helpful to have all of that in here. And then I've got my own scoring system. Scoring system is here, so that's just code I've had from the past. So if we leave everything as it is, that should be all good to go. So let's test it. Okay, so this is a founder I have invested in already, so I obviously think he's great. So let's see what the tool is going to do, and we'll hopefully be able to see the current activity as it's going through the analysis. So it's crawling using the Exa MCP. Yeah, and then it's going through GitHub. You can see it's typing in the queries here. And then we've got our reports, and you'll be able to see here they're a top 10% founder, 82 out of 100. Gives brief sort of insight into his co-founders, what he's like as a founder, any previous experience, education, all that kind of stuff. So that all works here. So what I could do now is also have it as this, and then I would tweak these instructions to say this can be triggered via email. So if I receive an inbound from a founder, I can forward it to this agent and then have it score the agent before I score the founder before I actually even set up a call. But yeah, it's really, really like the simplest way I've seen to build an agent, and it just has a lot of the control that you'd want. So you can dive in really deep and have it be really complex, or you can have it really, really simple. Just create a bunch of things based on resources that you add. So you can create resources, and you have a bunch of these different tools, much like an integration. And yeah, it's really simple to then just add them and build a bunch of assistants this way.